Have you ever felt like someone is watching you even though you're alone? Or heard a whisper in an empty room? Margaret has. At first, she dismissed it as her imagination, but as the strange occurrences continued, she couldn't ignore them any longer. What started as an innocent sleepover with friends turned into a nightmare that would haunt Margaret for years to come. Something she couldn't explain had attached itself to her, and it seemed to have no intention of leaving. As we dive into Margaret's story, prepare to be taken on a chilling journey that will make you question the reality of the world around you. Welcome to Eerie Encounters and Hauntings, your go-to destination for spine-tingling stories and bone-chilling encounters. Our channel is dedicated to exploring the unexplained and the inexplicable, bringing you the most frightening tales of the supernatural from around the world. From haunted houses to demonic possessions, we leave no stone unturned in our quest to uncover the truth behind these eerie encounters. So sit back, grab some popcorn, and get ready to be terrified as we take you on a journey into the unknown. Get ready for a scary story entitled Margaret and the Ouija Board. At the age of around 14, Margaret went to an overnight birthday party for her best friend. They planned to create a Ouija board and use it, but they didn't know any of the rules, so they ended up having to make it do foolish things like say farewell. After an hour or two, Margaret left to study tarot cards and finish watching The Exorcist with the other girls who weren't interested in communicating with the dead. The strange things began at this point. The spirit that the girls were communicated with shifted after Margaret left, to the point when it adopted an entirely new character. Pierre was his name. Margaret had no prior acquaintances with anyone named Pierre. Margaret first dismissed Pierre's words from the girls as harmless joking until he began sharing personal facts about her that no one else at the party was aware of as the planchette moved on the Ouija board. Details about the mild mistreatment she's experiencing and other things. That truly unnerved her. Even though Pierre assured Margaret he wasn't aiming to hurt her, Margaret nevertheless requested her friends to cease the game. Before Margaret started crying, her pals realized what was happening and stopped playing. She assumed that was the end of it. Only one girl and Margaret from the original party were present the following year when Ouija boards were popular again. The timer went off while the girls were making a cake, so she and Margaret went to retrieve it. A member of the group turned to Margaret and inquired, "Who is Pierre?" When they returned to the others, it would appear that he has stayed around following that initial encounter. From then on, no one invites Margaret over anymore unless they absolutely need to talk to Pierre. He constantly appears to be present. Through the years, Margaret thought she heard her name being called several times. It generally causes her to pause for little more than a minute, but on at least 2 occasions she would have been struck by a car if she hadn't done so. Margaret is convinced that Pierre has stayed on to lend a hand, but she would never have known this if she and the girls hadn't played with the Ouija board. If you're a believer in the paranormal, the story of Margaret's encounter with Pierre may make your hair stand on end. It's a tale that raises questions about what lies beyond our physical world and whether we should be tampering with forces that we don't fully understand. Many people scoff at the idea of Ouija boards and other tools for communicating with spirits, but Margaret's story suggests that these things should be approached with caution. Even if you don't believe in the supernatural, the idea of a spirit latching onto a person and refusing to let go is an unsettling one. What's particularly eerie about Margaret's experience is the way Pierre seems to have become a constant presence in her life. It's not just a matter of hearing strange noises or feeling a sense of unease. Pierre actively communicates with her and others, sharing information that he couldn't possibly know unless he was, in fact, some sort of spirit. Some might argue that Margaret is simply experiencing an overactive imagination or a mental illness, but she seems convinced that Pierre is real. And while it's impossible to say for certain what's going on in her case, it's clear that something unusual is happening. Whether you believe in ghosts and other supernatural entities or not, the story of Margaret and Pierre is a cautionary tale. It serves as a reminder that there are things in this world that we don't fully understand, and that dabbling in the unknown can have unintended consequences. So, if you're ever tempted to play with a Ouija board or try to communicate with the dead, remember Margaret's story. Think carefully about what you're doing. And that concludes the bone-chilling story of Margaret and the entity known as Pierre. It's a terrifying reminder of the dangers of dabbling with the unknown and a cautionary tale for those who are curious about the paranormal. If you enjoyed this eerie encounter, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more spine-tingling stories like this. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to be the first to know when we upload our next video. Thank you for watching, and remember, the next time you're tempted to summon spirits or play with Ouija boards, be careful what you wish for. The consequences could be far more terrifying than you ever imagined.